House rejects bill to extend surveillance power with FISA Section 700, set to expire, and that headline tells you almost everything you need to know about where we are right now with one of the most powerful spy tools the U.S. government has ever had. Here's what happened. Congress had a Friday midnight deadline to renew something called Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. This is the law that lets the government collect communications emails, phone calls, messages from foreign targets overseas, pulling that data directly from American tech companies like Google and AT&T, all without a warrant. Officials from administrations across both parties have credited this program with stopping terrorist plots, blocking cyber attacks, and keeping tabs on foreign adversaries. It is, by most accounts in Washington, considered essential to national security. And yet, on Thursday, the House voted 218 to 198 to reject a measure that would have temporarily extended it. Then lawmakers packed up and left for a week-long recess. Senate Democrats blocked last-ditch efforts there too. So as things stand, Section 702 is almost certainly going to expire on Saturday. Now here's where the story gets complicated, because this isn't really just a debate about surveillance law. There was actually a bipartisan group of lawmakers who had been quietly negotiating a 3-year reauthorization deal. They were close, apparently on a glide path according to Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee. Then last week, President Trump said he was appointing Bill Pulte, a housing official and close personal ally with zero intelligence background, as acting director of national intelligence. And that blew the whole thing up. Democrats drew a line. They said they would not pass any extension of this surveillance authority unless Trump backed away from Pulte. Their concern isn't abstract. Pulte has already been using his role at the Federal Housing Finance Agency to carry out what critics describe as a campaign of political retribution on behalf of the president. Democrats argued that handing the nation's intelligence apparatus to someone like that was a step they simply couldn't take, no matter how much they might otherwise support the underlying law. Speaker Mike Johnson was furious, calling Democratic opposition dangerous, and very shameful, though it's worth noting that more than a dozen Republicans also voted against the extension. Johnson warned of potential calamity. Democrats fired back that real reform of the surveillance program, not a blank check, was the only acceptable path forward. Hours after the vote failed and members had already started heading home, Trump announced he would nominate Jay Clayton, the U.S. attorney in Manhattan and a former SEC chairman, as his permanent pick for spy chief. But he did not withdraw Pulte as his acting choice, which had been a key Democratic demand, and the announcement came too late to change the outcome anyway. So what actually happens now? Here's the somewhat surprising part. Section 702 expiring doesn't mean the program immediately shuts off. The Surveillance Court issued new annual certifications back in March, which means the NSA could technically keep operating under those certifications until next spring. But that legal gray zone could invite serious court challenges from the very tech companies the law requires to cooperate. The Senate comes back Monday. The House doesn't return until June 23rd. Which means the next few weeks will tell us a lot about whether this was a genuine policy standoff or just Washington being Washington at its most dysfunctional. Whether you see this as Democrats holding the line against an unprecedented power grab or as reckless brinkmanship with national security on the table, one thing is clear. The fight over who controls America's intelligence community just became the fight over whether America has an intelligence community at all.